Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment. It is time for my mid-season updated win-loss projections for each and every team in the NFL. Really quick, there is one thing that people say that I really hate. Oh, you're changing your predictions. Of course I am. People, look, I have to change my predictions when they're obviously wrong. I had the LA Rams going 5-11 this year. I have to update that midseason. I just have to. Now, you can still make fun of me. Go ahead. Make fun of me for my old predictions, but you better be honest. Did you really see the Rams being this good? Probably not. So what I did, because I'm all fine with you guys being, really rude and mean to me, I did two things, okay? In the description box, you will see a team, and you'll see a record, and you'll see another record in parentheses. The record right next to that team's name is my updated win-loss projection. The record in parentheses was my preseason projection, so we can see how awful I was, and I really wasn't that awful. If you can compare me to other analysts around the world, you'll see he was actually one of the better ones, because people, you're gonna be wrong on some teams, period. That's just what's gonna happen. So with that said, team by team, I'm gonna go tell you my updated win-loss projection and just overall where I see their season going. Some thoughts on each team. That way you guys can feel comfortable about how I feel about your teams, because I haven't talked about each team in a while. Let's start with the AFC East. New England Patriots preseason was 13-3. Updated projection 12-4. So I dig them down and win. And remember what I told y'all preseason. Dear God, I had Patriots fans coming at me saying, why don't you have us going 16-0? Now you know why. Look, the NFL's tough, people. Your roster can look great on paper. Going 6-0 and predicting that correctly before a year, you're not going to do that. It's just way too hard to do. If you go 16-0, you won't see it coming. You'll probably see a team that's like, oh, 12-4, then they end up going 16-0, right? Or the Panthers a couple years ago, they went 15-1. Did you even see that coming? No. It's just better to not predict it. The more likely scenario is you lose about 3 or 4 games. That's what's going to happen to the Patriots, but I still like their chances. Remember, I have them winning the Super Bowl, and I'm sticking with my Super Bowl pick right now. I have Patriots, Seahawks. Yes, they're not looking like the two best teams in the NFL right now. I'm sticking with it. There's no reason to switch yet. Miami Dolphins, preseason 6-10, midseason 6-10. Yes, they're 4-4 right now, but they just traded away Jay Ajayi, okay? And although Adam Gase is able to sneak out some wins, man, the Dolphins, bad luck, gotta catch up to them at some point, man. I mean, their roster just ain't that good, especially offensively. We have Jay Cutler and Kenyon Drake as your quarterback, running back. I'm just not impressed. And the defense is actually all right. The defense is all right. It's improved. Without Van Joseph, it's improved. But I just don't see it. Their schedule's tougher the second half of the season, and they got lucky here and there facing some injured quarterbacks. So 6-10 still for the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo Bills 9-7. Okay, preseason was 5-11, and I said, go back and watch my Bills season preview. I said, people, best case scenario could be 8-8 or 9-7. It just depends how good of a coach Sean McDermott is, and he's a damn good head coach. But if you're thinking right now they're 5-3, they're going to finish 10-6, be careful. They have 2 matchups against the Patriots that still have to go down. They face the Saints this week. I think they go to the Chargers. I think they go to Kansas City as well. These are some tough matchups, dog. And they still haven't faced the Dolphins, and they could easily split with the Miami Dolphins. They could go 8-8, 7-9. I'm going to be nice and say 9-7, because I think they're going to sneak out some wins that I don't see coming. But look out for this right now. New York Jets, before the season, 1-15. Mid-season 6-10. Okay, so huge improvement there. I'm not gonna go 8-8, 7-9, because like the Dolphins, their bad roster kind of has to catch up with them, and the Jets roster is worse than the Dolphins, although not by much. It has to catch up to them. Okay, and the second half of the schedule is tougher. They got lucky, I think, early in the season where they were facing some teams that didn't expect much of them, and now teams will be a little more vigilant, a little more careful, a little more cautious when going against the New York Jets. But I think they win this week, so I think it's going to be 5-5, and then from there they're 1-5, and they just stink from here on out. AFC North, Baltimore Ravens 7-9. Preseason was 8-8, so one less win there. Look, Joe Flacco is just not very good. Their offensive personnel isn't very good. I said this before the season. I predicted this to a T. Go back and watch my Ravens season preview. Offensive personnel just ain't good enough. Cincinnati Bengals 7-9. Okay, so tough start to the season just screwed you over, man. What were you, 0-3? You know, you're gonna finish the season like 7-6 from that point. But it's not good enough when you start 0-3. So if you would have started the season 7-6, perhaps you win your last 3 and you get in at 10-6. But you started 0-3, and this is what you get. Okay, so you just dug yourself too much of a hole early, but you will get some wins in the second half of your schedule. Cleveland Browns, Jesus. I shouldn't say this. I really shouldn't say this. I'm going to say 1-15. I'm going to say they get a win somewhere, and I can't tell you where. They face the Jaguars, who could easily give them a win because that's the Jaguars move. And they also face some other teams that I can't really mention right now because I'm too lazy to look at the schedule. But I did see some games in there. I think I counted 3 where they could win, okay? And going 0-16 is just so damn tough. I'm going to say they win a game, but that's not easy, man. In preseason, I said 4-12. I should have just stuck with them as 2-14, honestly. Pittsburgh Steelers, 13-3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is a little presumptuous because this is going to rely on Big Ben to stay healthy and for them to not have any more drama in the second half of the season. But I think they're ready to roll. And their second half schedule ain't that tough. They already beat the Ravens in Baltimore, so they have them in Pittsburgh. And they face the Patriots, and I think they might win that game. Now, I think they're ready to beat the Patriots, at least in the regular season. I like the Steelers right now. I went 13-3. This is one of the bolder predictions I currently have. Indianapolis Colts, 5-11. They will win some games from here on out, but it won't be many. Preseason, I had 7-9, and I said because I think Andy Luck's going to miss half the season, because he misses all the season, I take away 2 more wins. 5-11 for them. Houston Texans 5-11, man. Without Deshaun Watson, who knew he was so valuable, right? But without him, I don't see them winning much. Although they did last year, right? Isn't that a funny thing? They did last year, but now it seems like they have no shot because they also are missing J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless, etc. So that hurts as well. It just seems without Deshaun Watson, they're lifeless almost. So Houston Texans 5-11. Preseason was 9-7. And the funny thing is about them, they were 3-4, and everyone was talking about, oh yeah, they're gonna go to the playoffs. I'm not so sure about that. Preseason I had 9-7. I'm not sure they would have hit that even with Deshaun Watson. I mean, think about it. You're 3-4. To go 8-8, you got to go 5-4 from there on out. To go 9-7, you have to go 6-3. That's not easy, okay? So I think they would have won 8-8, but that's just me. Tennessee Titans, 10-6, and I could have went 11-5. I went through the schedule and I counted 11-5, but they're gonna screw up somewhere. They'll probably lose this week to the Bengals, but they'll make it out by beating somebody. I'm telling you, this team right now. The good thing about the Titans right now is that you can clearly look at them, and everyone's saying this, they've underwhelmed the first half of the season. You know how good that is? To underwhelm and go 5-3? What if they reach their potential? Because there are plenty of teams in NFL history that have started out not great, have reached their potential in the second half of the year, and then they went off. Look at the Atlanta Falcons last year. I think they started about 5-3, ended the year 11-5 on a hot streak, made it all the way to the damn Super Bowl. So if this is as bad as they're going to be, I like their chances right now to win the division. And will they win it? Looking at the schedules, the Jaguars should honestly win it, but I think the Titans have the advantage of quarterback. There's a Titans-Jaguars matchup week 17 that I think will determine everything, and I think in that matchup, Mariota will beat Bortles. That's my prediction. But it would not shock me if the Jaguars win the division, but the first AFC wildcard matchup is Titans at Jaguars, so just look out for that possibility. Move on to the AFC West. We have the Denver Broncos. Preseason was 9-7 for them, 6-10 now. Now, this is what I like to call being prisoner of the moment, and I'll own up to it, right? Because this is just based off the past 3 or 4 weeks, and they could easily turn things around and look just as good as they looked in the beginning of the season. But right now, they don't look good, and the quarterback situation is in complete turmoil. Brock Osweiler was starting the other day for them. This is bad. Okay, so I'm going to say 6-10, but it could still be the 9-7 I predicted preseason. Kansas City Chiefs 12-4. This may surprise you. They've lost 3 of their past, 4 games? But the rest of the schedule is not that tough. I see some losses there. I see 1 loss there. And I think it's going to be like to the Chargers or something. I mean, their schedule is not that tough after this moment, unless they really just start choking. And I'm looking out for that. But I had them Losing the division to the Raiders preseason, I knew I should have just picked the damn Chiefs, but I had them making the playoffs, and I'm sticking with that. LA Chargers, I have them going 8-8. Preseason 8-8. So that's right, they're currently 3-5. And I have them being 5-3 over their last 8 games. I think they're going to make a comeback, and this is one of my sleeper wildcard teams. Look, it's so easy right now to look at the AFC playoff race and to just pick the top 6 teams. To say Patriots, Steelers, Chiefs, Titans, Jaguars, Bills, playoffs for all of them. I think someone's going to drop out. Maybe 2 teams will drop out. The Chargers are one of the teams I'm looking at as a possible usurper. The Chargers and the Raiders. Let's move on to the Raiders, who I have going 8-8 as well. If the Bills really struggle during the second half of the season, and I really look at them, the Titans could too, the Jaguars could too, but their schedules are easy, dog. Like, I know I'm a Titans fan. I know I'm biased. Our schedule is easy. Just go look at it. It's an easy damn schedule. I don't see that happening. I could see the Bills because we know the Bills have overachieved. When you look at the first half of their season, we're thinking overachieved right now. Titans, we're thinking underachieved. So if things balance out, and things tend to balance out in the NFL, the Raiders and the Chargers could take advantage of the Bills balancing out, being a bad team during the second half of the year, and then they usurp them. They take their spot in the playoffs. Look out for the Chargers and Raiders. If the Ravens and Bengals get their shit together, look out for them too. I don't think the Dolphins really have a shot. I know they're 4-4. I just don't I don't see the damn playoffs for them. We'll see. We move on to the NFC. And by the way, the playoff teams I currently have in the AFC are the top 6. Okay, so it is Bills, Jags, Titans, Chiefs, Steelers, Patriots, because I don't have the balls to go all in on the Chargers or the Raiders, but I am looking out for them. Raiders, I wanted to do it, but their second half schedule is really tough. But if they find their 2016 form, they could definitely do it. Move on to the NFC. Dallas Cowboys, 9-7, preseason was 10-6. If Ezekiel Elliott can avoid suspension, if he can continue to hire O.J. Simpson's lawyer and avoid suspension for the rest of the year, I think it's going to be 10-6. But I think eventually he's going to be suspended. And this is a bold statement because he hasn't been thus far. If he is not, even then, they may not make the playoffs, man. This NFC playoff race is going to be tough. You have a bunch of 6-2 teams right now. It's ridiculous right now in the NFC. We'll see for them. New York Giants, whew. Is this the most disappointing team this season? I think so. 4-12 for them. Unfortunately for them, they're not nearly as bad, I think, as the 49ers and the Browns. So they won't get the top pick. They may not get Saquon Barkley, but they're going to get someone good in return, maybe a quarterback, we shall see, in the 2018 NFL Draft. Preseason was 10-6, by the way. Yikes. Probably my worst prediction. But here's the thing. You know, if we want to be fair, look, if you want to be unfair and say, ha, yeah, the Giants going 10-6 and they didn't, ha, 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 you can do that. If you want the ultimate and supreme Giants skeptic before the year, would you have them going 7-9? Even you were really wrong. Like, if you had the Giants going 7-9 before the year, you know how much of a bold statement that was? People, let's be fair, okay? If you want to criticize, that's fine. Let's be fair at least. No, you don't want to be. Okay, all right, cool. That's cool. We move on to the next game. Washington Redskins, next team. Washington Redskins, 8-8. Preseason was 7-9. This is about where I thought they'd be. Just not good enough. I don't think. They could find a nice stride. I mean, we've seen nice potential in this team. Beating the Seahawks in Seattle, competing against the Chiefs. I mean, we've seen good things. But I just can't go all in on them. But I'm looking out for them. I am looking out for them. We have the Philadelphia Eagles, 13-3, and damn it, this is the one team I knew preseason. Like I was debating between the Eagles and the Giants as to who I wanted to make the wild card, and I knew I should have just picked the Eagles. I should have went all in on that team because I knew Carson Wentz was going to take a step up, and the Eagles team in general was going to take a step up. Now here's the thing I want to talk about. First of all, they're great. And yet again, we're getting into this Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott debate. Look, Eagles fans, I told you this preseason, by the way. What's going to happen is that Carson Wentz is going to play so much better than he did last season to the point where you say this Carson Wentz is just better than last year's Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz this year is absolutely better than Dak Prescott right now. Carson Wentz last year, nah. This guy is better. period. Because the defense last year was pretty freaking good, okay? It wasn't as great as it wasn't. In fact, it might even be on par or even better. I mean, I didn't look at the stats here, but I would not be surprised if last year's defense was statistically better than right now. I have to check that. Do not quote me on that. But I think they're pretty close. I mean, the Eagles defense can let up over 20, and that's last year would be more of a discussion whether or not they would. So we're literally dealing with the situation where Carson Wentz is just freaking better. He's improved, and players are allowed to do that. That happens. Players get better. This does not mean that Carson Wentz was better than Dak all along. This means Carson Wentz. This was Dak. This was Dak last year. This is Carson Wentz. This is Carson this year. This is Dak now. Right? It's a continual flow. It's a continual form and checking of, you know, what you've done recently, what you've done in your career, what you've done in the offseason to improve. Have you regressed? It's all fluid, people. This does not prove Carson Wentz was better last year, but it does prove Carson Wentz is better now. That's the distinction. All right, we move on to the NFC North. Green Bay Packers. Preseason 12-4, and this was not a bad prediction. With Aaron Rodgers, they would have been 12-4, but without him, they're screwed. 6-10 for the Green Bay Packers. What is that? 2 more wins this season? Even that might be a stretch, but I see it happening. Next team, Chicago Bears, 6-10 as well. Preseason was 4-12. Maybe I was a little harsh, but I'm fine being 2 wins off. If I'm 2 wins off, well, people, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I ain't got no problem with that. My barometer is 2, plus or 2 wins, plus or minus 2 wins, I'm good. Like, because games can just go back and forth anyway. Those 2 games could have easily went in my favor. I'm fine with that. You know, for them, they're whatever. Are they even like, what is the, sorry, Bears fan, what's there to talk about? Trubisky doesn't even throw. He doesn't even throw, like, he may throw 7 times a game. Yeah, there's nothing to talk about. Detroit Lions, 8-8. Now, preseason was 7-9. And I know the NFC North is up for grabs. If you look at the Lions' upcoming schedule, you look at it, you say they could take advantage, and they certainly could. I just don't think that they will. They easily could. I'm looking out for them. They're still pretty healthy, which is nice. But something is still holding back this team. Like, that 4-game losing streak that they had didn't make any damn sense for the most part. Okay, so the Steelers loss was fine. The other ones, a lot of them, they should have had. So I think there's something still holding this team back. I don't know what it is. Will they return to the playoffs? They certainly could. I'm looking out for them. But my money's on the Minnesota Vikings to win this division. They started 6-2. That's a huge advantage. Huge. They lost to the Lions earlier this year, but I think they're going to bounce back and beat them later on. Teddy Bridgewater could be coming back. They should at least go 10-6. All you have to do is go 4-4 for your remaining games, and you're good. I don't think the Lions are going to go 10-6. I don't think they could. We'll see what happens there. My preseason prediction for the Vikings was 8-8. So 2 wins off there, but I'm not really upset about that. Atlanta Falcons, 9-7. As we move on to the NFC South, 1 win less than I had them projected for preseason. And I had preseason, I had them making the playoffs, and I was hesitant because I said, look, why did they not make it in 2015? You know, Matt Ryan just not play very well, and I could see that happening again, and we're seeing that happening again. In fact, I had them being better in the second half than they were in the first half, but still, I'm not even sure about that. This team, to me, is not making the playoffs unless they can find something that they had last year, something that they don't currently have. We'll see. 9-7 for them. New Orleans Saints, 11-5. Okay, now, this is tough because I look at their second half schedule, and right now they're just so hot, right? You wonder if there's a massive cool down coming, but I think they're legitimately good, and Drew Brees is still at the helm, people. That's what I really love about the Saints. That's what I don't love about the Rams right now. They still have Jared Goff, who's playing well, but the Saints have Drew Brees. I trust Drew Brees. Give me Drew Brees. And I have them winning the division, by the way. I have the Saints winning the division. I have them sweeping the Panthers. But the Panthers have the schedule advantage. As I said preseason, I have the Panthers winning this division preseason. So look out for that. If the Saints can sweep the Panthers, they should be fine because the Saints' second half schedule is tougher than the Panthers. So look out for that. Speaking of the Panthers, 11-5 as well. Had them 10-6 preseason, so I'm fine with that. And yeah, nothing really much to talk about here. They're doing a good job. Keep it up. Don't know why you traded Kevin Benjamin, but whatever. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 5-11. And this is so disappointing. Preseason prediction was 10-6. I've been missing the playoffs. But still, this is disappointing here by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Should have been better than this. This is ridiculous. I don't know what's wrong with them. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make any damn sense. They just can't win games. That's literally that's it. And the defense isn't that good. I know that, but and the offense is just not reaching its potential. And you know, people are looking at the Titans saying they're underwhelming. At least the Titans version of underwhelming is going 5-3, because the Bucs definition of underwhelming is going 2-6, being on pace for 4-12, and I'm projecting 5-11. That ain't good. But look out for the Bucs in this aspect. I think they're gonna spoil some playoff dreams in the later parts of the season. I think I have them winning their last 2 out of the last 3 games, maybe even 3 of the last 3 games. So look out for them at the end of the season. But Jameis Winston currently out. This sucks. They stink. And then we move on to the NFC West, as we have a very interesting scenario here. So I really want to pick the Rams to win this division. It makes the most sense to pick the Rams to win this division. They currently have a game lead over the Seattle Seahawks, but the Seahawks beat the Rams in LA. This is the situation to me. We have a matchup, and I believe week 15 or 16, in which the Seattle Seahawks travel to the Dallas Cowboys. If Ezekiel Elliott is suspended for that game, I like the Seahawks in that game, and ultimately, I like the Seahawks to win this division. If he is not suspended, I think the Rams win this division. So, because right now I am projecting Ezekiel Elliott to be suspended at that point in the season, which is, by the way, a lot to say, I have the Seahawks winning this division. But I'm telling you right now, that is going to be a critical matchup. That is a matchup you need to watch. That is a matchup you need to look out for. Seahawks 12-4, Rams 12-4, both really good. Now, as I'm even saying that, I want to pick the Rams to win this division. So you know what? I'm impromptu. I'm doing it. I'm actually going to switch. I'm going to pick the Rams to this division because, you know what? The Seahawks, I feel like they're going to have not only 1, but probably 2 more random losses. Because actually, I made this right before the Seahawks lost to the Redskins. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? Screw that. All right, so Rams 12-4, Seahawks 11-5. Damn it, I have to give a win to somebody. I'll figure that out post-video. 49ers 2-14. Jimmy Garoppolo will start, and I think he's going to win 2 games, okay? They're going to start 0-9 or 0-10, and then Garoppolo win like 2 of the last 4. Okay, that's fine. And then Arizona Cardinals, have them 4-12. I'll bump them up to 5-11. Okay, so there's my win that I just took away from the Seahawks. So, those are my updated win-loss projections. Now, who do I have making the playoffs out of the NFC? We have the Rams and the Seahawks. We have the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. We have the Vikings, and we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Cowboys barely miss out. Lions barely miss out. Falcons barely miss out. Other than that, man, I don't think there's any real contenders. I mean, the Giants are out of it. The Redskins, I'm looking out for them. But I don't know. I still see it. Bears, no, they're a little too far off at this point. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Cardinals, no, they're not good enough. So, those are my updated win-loss predictions. Now, in terms of the playoff predictions, I ain't updating crap. Preseason, I had the Pittsburgh Steelers, I had the New England Patriots, and I had the Patriots winning. I'm sticking with that. Why? Because I want to. Now, it may be in Pittsburgh, okay, instead of New England, but I think New England in the second half of the season they're going to put it together. But the Steelers could get it done. I'm looking out for that, but I just want to stick with it. There's no reason to back off of that yet. NFC, I had Packers. No, I had Seahawks at Packers, right? And I had the Seahawks winning. Now, obviously, they can't travel to the Packers. So I had them traveling to Philly. I think Philly will make it all the way to the NFC Championship game. But, and Philly fans are going to be pissed, Seahawks traveling to you would be very interesting. In fact, I think we see this matchup. We see Eagles at Seahawks this year. That'll be a nice litmus test. But I'd like the Seahawks' chances in terms of veteran leadership there in the playoff game. It would not shock if the Eagles won that game. In fact, I'd kind of even be rooting for you because I want to see a nice young team win a Super Bowl. But I'd have to go with the Seahawks there. So those are my updated predictions. But I saw Patriots over Seahawks for the overall Super Bowl. So those are my updated win-loss predictions. What are yours? Comment down below. I want to know. And again, look, I don't think my predictions were that bad, folks. I mean, some of them were off. Some of them are due to injuries. Some of them are just due to incompetence. Like the 2 or 3 worst I had. These are just bad that no one had. Let's be honest. Rams being 7 wins better than I had them being. No one had that. If you had Rams fans, you did not have you going 12-4. Shut up. The most optimistic of you had you going 10-6. And even then, within the Rams community, there are people that were telling you you're an idiot. Okay, so let's relax there. The Giants won way off. They had them going 10-6, or they're going to go 4-12, or even worse. That one's pretty bad. Bills, sure, but I even saw that kind of coming. I still want to do it. So overall, man, I think my preseason predictions were pretty good. Saints were better than I thought, but I'm fine with that. These predictions, I think they were fine. What do you think? Comment down below. I want to know. Until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment. I'm out. See you all later.